So on Saturday 30th of May, I attempted the UTS 100k up in the mountains with 6,000 plus meters of vertical gain. Initial process was pretty good. I got registered nice and quickly, got to enjoy the National Slate Museum look but not buy from the various sponsor stalls, and I was really impressed with the smoothness of the process of kit check, getting your photos, getting your ID, getting the drop bags dropped off. Now I got there Saturday, I don't know, about 3:30ish, something like that, so I think that's an ideal time. The event village was brilliantly organised, lots of stuff to see and do, lots of opportunities to spend your money if you're not careful, but fortunately I had all my kit with me. There's no last minute panics in terms of buying. Some nice things to eat and lots of things to see, and just a really nice atmosphere. And I think myself and my wife came at just the right time. It was busy without being too busy, and there were no real queues at registration. I was through in 10-15 minutes tops with very little waiting. The food at the place was just brilliant, so that allowed us to have dinner there and early enough so that hopefully no upset stomach come race day. So the alarm was set for 2:40. I was up at 2, but managed to get a few hours of sleep. I think I was quite lucky to be in a hotel. Had all my kit sorted and had it sorted for weeks, which had its upsides and its downsides. I found out later in the race that I knew I had stuff in there, I just couldn't find it, and there was no fit headspace to start trawling through my bag. So something to learn for next time. I also learned to my cost. Despite being a huge watch nerd, I did not have my watch set up properly, and this would be something of an issue as the race went on. But overall, really happy with how my kit went. Definitely things I would change. We were there in good time. Of course, we'd registered, already got rid of our drop bags the day before. It was just simply a matter of queuing for the Portaloos, then coming out and queuing for the Portaloos again. There were just about enough, and I'm glad we got there about 4:15, because as we got towards 2:45, when I was queuing up for the last time for the toilets, the queues were massive. The event, it's a big event. There was a lot of people on site, even at coming up to 5 a.m. for the 100k, and I know there were lots signed up for the 50k and 25k as well. So I think it just about managed. I wonder how it was for other people, really, but for me it was pretty smooth, to be honest. So at the start, positioning myself towards the back. Initially I thought it was the hindrance. There's a lot of choke points, a lot of single file, well, I was going to say running, but climbing, and I did feel a little held back by that for the first 6-7 miles, but actually I think that's where I need to be, because these climbs are absolutely brutal, as advertised.
2, 1. Here we go.
Go Dave!
The route was obviously stunning from from Llanberis through to about the mile 7, which is the first checkpoint. I was really enjoying it, loving the running, loving the challenge, loving the scenery. .19 miles. Coming out of checkpoint 1 after about 7 miles, I felt really good, very strong indeed. I was very optimistic. The second climb absolutely floored me and was a huge struggle. In fact, that entire route up and then down on very challenging terrain. I even went with a small group of other people, we went wrong, so we went down very challenging boulders, proper boulders as well, scree, I felt almost sheer in places, then had to cut across and get on the right path. I don't quite know how we managed to go wrong, but we did. Fortunately, one guy had his wits about him and we managed to follow him to the right direction. But all that told, physically felt absolutely spent. My heart rate was spiking far too high. 9.44 miles. This climb since first checkpoint has been ridiculous. I'm feeling really good too. Very weak, so hopefully can recover. Here we go. Up that. 983. Jeez. I was struggling to see at mile 13 how to even get to checkpoint 2. I was in felt in such a bad way, despite hydrating, fueling as I should be. So unbelievable, given all the training and the onus I've put on this event. My thought was to drop. Fortunately, my quite literally better half was at support tent, and she rightly had other ideas because she knows me well.
I did half marathon in March, but that was my I did every second that half marathon.
So at checkpoint 2, given the amount of effort I put in, I drank a lot, ate a lot, got in some shade as well, had a chat with my wife, looked at what goals were achievable. So it's all about, with these sort of races, segmenting them down, so getting onto the next checkpoint and then onto the halfway checkpoint. The issue with a semi-autonomous race like this is that access for support crew is beyond challenging. There's only certain places that my wife could get to, and even so, the parking was crazy. So getting on to checkpoint 3, she would have had no access, so I was faced with the prospect of being pretty much down and out and then doing twice as much again, getting to mile 30, 31 plus.
Good luck.
Oh. So ultimately I had so much invested in this, I decided to give it a go and just hope that I could recover as I moved forward. Again, I set off with 2 litres of water, and having drunk a lot at the aid station, I think this was key. And I know just from being out on the run and from hearing what other people said after the event, that hydration was a huge problem. A lot of people were not prepared for the weather. It was very, very challenging indeed. I was okay, but I was running hot. You couldn't not, but hydration really caught some people out. There were some people who were flat out on some sections of the course getting medical attention. 15.52 miles, just leaving the aid station. I was all set to drop out, but I don't know why I'm carrying on, to be honest. So the next session will be just as hard. My legs were jelly on the last one, so I've eaten a load of food. I've got 2 litres of hydration on me, and my only aim is to get to the halfway point. I've got no chance of finishing, I don't think. I don't even know what I'm carrying on, but yeah, give it a go. One thing I certainly battled with was a negative mindset that really set in from about mile 9, probably, when I was really struggling with the heat and the inclines, through really into about mile 20, and that's certainly something I'd look to improve next time. I have heard it said that ultra running's like 80% mental, 20% training. I wouldn't agree with that at all. Frankly, I think physical conditioning is absolutely critical, but at the same time, the mental side is really huge as well. And I don't think, had my mentality been different, and I did manage to get myself out of that funk anyway, I don't think it would have made a critical difference to the end result, but it would have made a difference. So it's something definitely for me personally, to work on next time. 16.3 miles, carrying on. Probably a bad decision, but doing it anyway. Really struggling on the hills, trying to take it as slow as possible. Let's see what happens. So the inclines were very punishing. I felt like I tried my best to try and replicate hard climbing throughout my training. I had a very hard and I think well thought out training block. But what I didn't do well enough, I think, was try and get that incline, that extreme incline in my training. Yes, I used a stair stepper. Yes, I sought out routes with lots and lots of elevation, but you really can't substitute for getting on that technical terrain as is. And I think that was a huge gap in the events that I did and the training that I did, because by the time I got to halfway, I'd done nearly 3.5 kilometers of elevation. That's huge, and on difficult terrain as well. It's not the same being on a stair stepper or an inclined treadmill or running up short climbs around where I am in the southeast. You need to get into the mountains. .54. The longest climb ever. Still very hot. Still very beautiful. One thing that did surprise me a bit was some of the quite technical climbing that had to be done. I was expecting scrambling, but this was a bit more than that. Proper in terms of just going up places with handholds, footholds, and climbing carefully up those with quite significant drops on either side as well. Now, of course, that's part of the fun and part of the challenge of mountain ultras. It's a bit beyond what I was expecting. It was fine. I was around some people who liked heights even less than me, and I know they found it quite scary. So if you're thinking of embarking on this, you have to bear in mind that my video is showing some things, but the hard things I had no capacity really to video, and they are hard. We've got scree slopes where people can and did fall, trip, seriously injure themselves. I know someone broke their leg in 2 places, for example, and places where you have to climb up. You need to be physically strong, resilient, agile. Even then, when you do that, there'll be a significant proportion of people who ultimately fall short and DNF, which is ultimately where I ended up. Okay, mile 25.74, heading to Cabell Cruig, which is the halfway aid station. I don't quite know how I'm still going, but I am. Yeah. Very nice scenery. I think once I get to Cabell Cruig, I'm going to call it a day. My legs are shot, absolutely shot. I think my feet are starting to suffer as well. I'm pretty sure I'm developing a blister on my left foot. But yeah, this looks a bit easier so far. I mean, there's some scree and stuff, but nothing like that has been. And the previous section was so gnarly, and I got as well. Didn't actually film any of it really. Still, this is nice. 27.52 miles. About 2.5 miles an hour. Okay, 30.16 miles in, heading towards Cabell Cruig, the halfway point. It's nice to have some peace and quiet out in the countryside. So, miles have taken me about 27 minutes a mile at the moment, so I think the chances of me making this cut off, pretty remote cut off at 8, is 7:23. think Keurig, I think it's closer to 32 than it is 31, so even if we get there in time, there's not enough of a buffer to realistically make the next cut off, so just going to enjoy this now. Good adventure. So whilst I was disappointed to be timed out there, I was really proud to have done the 50k, especially given the significant problems physically in particular I was feeling from checkpoint 1 pretty much onwards. I think to have recovered and then to come in at halfway at 50k, it is a decent effort. I felt if I'd done less than that, that would have been quite challenging for me, because in the moment all I could really think about is at times of quitting and walking away, sitting in a cafe and just like watching the world go by. But actually I've invested so much time and effort into this event. I think once I've moved past the event, and if I've fallen short in some way, I think I'd be gutted. But 50k feels okay, and I can take a lot from it, and I think I can be proud of completing 50k. Of course I wanted to go on, of course I would have wanted to do the full 100k, but we live and learn.